Scientist discovers strange object in iceberg, shocked when he realizes what it is. God knows how long this creature had been frozen in ice before it was found by amateur explorer and scientist Mark. He knew that this could be the discovery of a lifetime and could not wait to get it free from its icy prison. But when Mark finally gets through the frozen wall and sees what it is that he is dealing with, he is stunned by the true magnitude of his find. This could change everything. Mark had to let the world know about his incredible discovery. Mark puts his hand on the ice wall. "I have come back for you. I told you I would." It almost sounds like he is in love. Behind the ice, he can see a giant, almost human-like figure. But you can barely make out anything more than its shape. But that had been enough for Mark. He had brought people with him from the nearest village to help him get behind the ice wall and help him come face to face with what could be his greatest discovery. The crew starts to carefully chip away at the ice until they finally get close enough to get an idea of what they are dealing with. The workers all take a step back from the shock. Some even start to make their way back to the entrance of the ice cave. Mark just drops to his knees. How is this possible? But what did Mark discover in the ice wall? How had he even found this ice cave in the first place? And could this possibly be a discovery that the world would be better off without? Hey there, Viral Videos here. Before we go on like this video, smash the subscribe button and click the notification bell. We post the most beautiful, amazing and scary videos every single day. Let's proceed with the video. With century-old ice melting at an alarming rate over the past couple of decades, more and more secrets that were once hidden beneath it are becoming accessible, potentially revealing incredible things to be discovered, or things that should better be left untouched. Explorers from all over the world are ready to pounce on these opportunities, trying to forever cement their name in the history books. Most of these explorers failed dramatically in their effort. But Mark, a 36-year-old scientist, is not most explorers, and his most recent mission proved that. His journey will take him to northern Greenland, land that was previously completely inaccessible and thus still very much unexplored. But with the effects of climate change, this has recently changed and Mark is determined to use this opportunity. And use it he did when he made the discovery of a lifetime there. Mark sets out on his journey, trying to find something frozen in time beneath the ice layer which is getting thinner and thinner. He is equipped with the bare minimum to survive on this journey, and thus the first couple of weeks are tough to endure. But he knows that it will all be worth it in the end. The first few weeks are tough. With only enough to survive and no comforts from home, Mark is determined to find something to make the trip worth it. He's been hiking for miles now. Any civilization is at least 2 days away, but then he stumbles across something that may just be what he's looking for. As the days turn into weeks, Mark gets discouraged. His supplies are running out, and he's questioning his every move. With a final burst of courage and determination, he continues to hike out. Searching for anything, a strange shadow, maybe a weird rock, or even a crack in the ice, he continues to look, almost desperate. It's then that he spots it. It's a rock formation of some kind, or so it seems. It's something at least. He heads toward it. This is it, his last hope. He's tired. He's running out of supplies. This is it before he has to head back to civilization. Could this really be something? Once he gets close, he determines that it is a rock formation. But there's something else. There's a breeze coming from small holes between the rocks. That's unusual, and it is definitely worth exploring. Could it be a cave? Or a tunnel of some kind? There's only one way to find out. Overwhelmed with excitement, Mark does his best to move the rock out of the way. It takes some time, but he manages it. There is most definitely a hole behind the rock, but where does it lead? And what could he find? But most importantly, should he even go in there, or wait and come back with others? Mark is a seasoned explorer, but he knows the dangers going alone would mean. Especially since no one knows exactly where he is or what he's doing. There hasn't been phone service in 2 days, and there's certainly been no internet. It would be wildly irresponsible to go in now. Thinking rationally, Mark knows he should go back to the nearest village. It's a 2-day hike at least. He'd probably get cell service back and internet as he got closer. Maybe he could call someone to help him and come back. But then again, would he be able to find this hole again? It's then that he makes his decision. With curiosity getting the best of him, Mark decides to take a short look into the hole. He won't go too far, and he'll certainly be careful. After all, he's a seasoned explorer. He should be okay. The hole slopes downward, and taking caution, he carries onward. But he wasn't prepared for what he found. The hole quickly turns into a tunnel. It's narrow and difficult to walk through. He has to be careful with every step he takes. Mark is afraid that rocks could come loose and collapse on top of him. But as he goes deeper down, this seems less likely. After all, everything is frozen together. But things are about to get easier. The further down he goes, the wider the tunnel gets. It's dark and cold. Mark doesn't realize just how far down he's gone. Curiosity has gotten the best of him. Looking back, the entrance seems so small. A little light in a lot of darkness. As the tunnel gets wider, it suddenly turns into a giant cave. Mark is so excited. He could be the first person to ever see this cave. Making his way through it, he finds that the cave is bigger than he thought. He knows he should leave and come back, but this needs to be explored. Walking around for hours, there's nothing but ice and rock. But his luck is about to change. Trying to keep track of where the entrance is, Mark continues to walk around. It's dangerous to be doing this alone. He knows this in his mind, but his heart longs to continue, and so he does. After all, nothing comes without some risk. So he continues on, and his dedication is about to pay off, and big. It's only then that Mark spots an ice wall that is different from the rest. Because of the layers of ice around him, they seemed very blue and white. But this ice wall is different. There's some form of dark silhouette behind it. It can't be just another rock. This was felt strange, and he had to find out what it was. Walking closer to the ice wall, he shines a light on it. There is definitely something here, but what? He shines the light over the dark silhouette, trying to make out anything that could give him a clue as to just what this is. But there's no luck. He's going to have to try something else. Luckily, he has just the thing, or so he thinks. Going through what little supplies he has, Mark finds his small pickaxe and begins to chip away at the ice. Unfortunately, it's pretty solid. It's a long time before he even thinks about giving up, but given how little progress he's made, it's just not worth it. He'll probably freeze to death before finding anything. He's been stubborn all day. It's true that he's made some questionable decisions. After all, he's deep in a cave under the surface all by himself, and no one even knows he's here. It's about as dangerous as it can get. It's time to go back and get help. He can't make this discovery alone. It's time to be sensible and call it a day. Before leaving, he pulls out a piece of paper and begins to map out the cave as best he can. He wants to be sure he can find this place again. It's only once he has this done that he makes his way back to the entrance of the cave. He was definitely leaving, but only for now. There was something here, and he had to know what it was. It was fairly easy to find his way back to the tunnel. Going uphill was another battle, but Mark makes it. By the time he gets out and back to the surface, it's dark. He needs to set up his camp soon or he'll freeze. While he gets to work with that, he makes his plan for tomorrow. He's got some work to do. With his plan in mind, he gets ready to sleep. He's going to head back to the nearest village. It's a 2-day hike. From there, he's going to recruit a group of people to help him get through the ice wall. He could tell his peers, but they'd stick their noses into it. Maybe even try to take credit. He wants to do this discovery by himself. The journey back to the village was long and difficult. The cold wind had picked up and snow had started to fill the air. Mark was in serious danger of hypothermia, but he didn't care. He was more concerned with remembering how he could find his way back to the cave. Everything else did not matter anymore at this point. All throughout the night, Mark dreams of the dark silhouette. What could it be? A new species? Something made by humans a long time ago. Chuckling to himself, he even considers the idea of Bigfoot, but that's absurd. He barely gets any sleep, but come morning, Mark is ready to take off at the first rays of sunlight. He had noted his exact location on a digital map he had downloaded, but this was very inaccurate as the map was way too zoomed out, and he had been paranoid about putting something like a flag next to the cave just because somebody else may find it. It was his discovery to make, and no one else's. So he was doing his very best to remember the exact location while journeying back. He had picked out certain landmarks that helped him pinpoint the exact location of the cave again. He was determined to find his way back to the cave, whatever it takes. Nobody would stop him. This could be life-changing. Mark already pictured himself famous. In the town, Mark is quickly able to round up some guys that are willing to help him out for money. He doesn't tell them much about what he thinks that he found and just keeps it at needing some help digging out something from the ice. People in this area are willing to do anything for money. Will twisting the real truth catch up to him? Luckily, the townspeople are not interested in asking a lot of questions and are just interested in making a quick buck. They used the rest of the day to prepare for the journey back. They made sure they had the necessary equipment for the job. Mark got very excited about the quick response of the locals. He will soon claim his discovery. They get supplies, tools, and snow scooters that are capable of traversing the terrain. Between this and paying the helpers, Mark sees his bank account drain very fast, but he is willing to spend every penny he has and even goes into debt if necessary as long as he can make this discovery. Will it be worth it in the end? He just feels like this will cement his place in history forever. He always wanted to be famous for something he would discover. Deep down, he knew this was his moment of fame. The next day, they attempt to travel back to find the exact location, but this is a lot more difficult than Mark had hoped. Could they even find the cave again? Luckily, they can easily find back the area in which the cave is located because Mark noted it on the map. But because there has been a snowstorm raging for the past 24 hours at least, a lot of the area has been covered in snow. The entrance was nowhere to be found. Mark got a bit desperate. How could this happen? The landmarks that Mark had tried to remember are mostly covered, and this makes the search for the cave a whole lot more difficult. After hours of trying, the townspeople are ready to give up and head back. Mark didn't accept them quitting. He started to get annoyed. They had to help him make his discovery. But luckily, it doesn't get that far as one of the helpers, who is poking in the ground with a stick, suddenly feels it shoot through the ground and falls down. He poked the stick straight in the snowed-in hole. Could this be the entrance that Mark had found just the day before? This must be the place. Mark's heart skips a beat. This is it. This is all that he had been able to think about for the past couple of hours. They make their way down the hole as quickly as they possibly can. They still had to be careful. The whole way down was slippery, and Mark did not want anyone getting hurt. Mark was on the verge of making his discovery. When Mark sets foot in the big cave again, it is exactly how he remembers it. He almost sprints to the cave to get to his frozen treasure, finding it again within minutes. There it is, the huge wall with the silhouette inside of it. No one would stop him now from claiming his fame. Let's get to work. It is exactly the same as Mark remembered. The townspeople are very confused as to what they are witnessing. Mark had not told them anything about that they were going to have to dig out this. Mark wondered for a second if the townspeople would be willing to help him in his endeavor. Then the oldest stepped forward. Now the helpers themselves are getting excited. Were they going to be part of something historical here? They are quickly getting to work, but try to be as careful as possible. They don't want to risk damaging the find in any way. They started speculating about all the possibilities. It could literally be anything. They did not expect finding this though. They need this in prime condition if at all possible. The layer of ice is very thick and getting through it as carefully as they are doing it takes a hell of a long time. They were not sure if they even brought the necessary equipment for the job. Then suddenly it happened. One of the workers hits the ice a little too hard and everybody stops what they are doing. Suddenly rumbles are going through the cave. From the point where the worker hit the ice, large cracks are starting to form that spread quickly through the ice. Mark's heart skipped a beat for a second. What was happening? The helpers all take a couple steps back, and some even start running towards the entrance again, fearing that the whole cave is about to collapse. But Mark is frozen in place. His instincts tell him to get to safety, but there is no way he walks away from what could be the defining moment in his life. This could be it. Seconds later, the ice wall that they have been digging in for the past hour comes crashing down in a million pieces, and what has been hidden behind it for probably centuries is finally revealed. Mark can't believe what he is seeing. How could it be this? He drops down on his knees. This is not what he expected at all. Behind the ice wall is not a creature but just a stone wall. But a stone wall with an enormous and most likely ancient drawing of a human-like creature. Mark was extremely disappointed. It was still a great find, but not what he expected it to be. It was drawn so thick and dark that he was able to see the silhouette through the clear ice. But now that all the ice has broken away, a lot more drawings are revealed on the wall. They remind Mark of old caveman drawings. Did ancient humans live in this cave? Hunting scenes, people, fire, all can be made out from the drawings on the wall. It was and still remains his crowning achievement as a scientist. He might not have gotten rich from the discovery, but he cared more about the credit anyway. What did you think of this story? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like the video and subscribe. See you next time.